Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. I want to talk about something that I have been dealing with, and I know that there are other people who are dealing with the same thing because I've seen the videos, I've read the comments, but I'm struggling on this walk. I am. I have gotten to a point where I kind of feel lonely in a sense that I don't have people in person who I can like fellowship with and talk to and have conversations with. I do have two friends, and both of them live out of state. So they're great, but it's like there's something about having someone in person to talk to. I don't need a whole bunch of friends. Like, no, no. Don't need a gang of friends. No. But just at least having one or two people that I could go to and be like, hey, do you have time to meet up today? Do you have time to have a conversation? Do you have the capacity to have this conversation? Like, can we get together? Can we go eat? And even with Shabbat, I would love to have one or two other people to fellowship with on Shabbat instead of like fellowshipping by myself. um, Usually I have my son with me on Shabbat. So when he's with his dad, it's kind of just like, it's just me and the Most High. Like that's it. And even with Shabbat, sometimes I struggle with what am I supposed to do exactly? Because if you read in the Word, Yahuwah tells you what not to do, right? He tells you how to prepare for Shabbat as far as like prepping your food, which cool, got that down pat. I don't have an issue with that. Um, and to rest. I'm the type of person who is used to working 7 days a week. I've always worked 7 days a week. And so I think in 2023, the job I have now, I started working there in July, July of 2023. And I was also working a second job, but I quit that job because I was like, I just want to have one job. And I'm not used to just working 5 days a week and literally having 2 days off. I'm used to working like every day, Sunday through Saturday. So even though I've been at my current job for almost 3 years, it's still hard to just rest on the other 2 days, right? Especially on Shabbat. It's hard to rest because I don't really know what rest looks like. And like I say, it's been 3 years. It's going on 2 years that I've been observing Shabbat. So I'm just like, I'm still struggling with what to do. I am. But there's no specific guidelines on what you are supposed to do other than to rest. That is it, just to rest. And so I'm like, well, what does rest look like? I'm not quite sure what that looks like. Um, and then like when my son is with me on Shabbat, usually I will take him to the park. He's 8, and keeping him in the house all day is not. Mm-mm, it's not going to work. He has so much energy, and it's like I have to take him outside and have him to run around and play and things like that. And of course, we have Bible study and we pray and we do things like that. But it's like for a whole 24 hours, what does rest look like? And it's not even counting the 24 hours, but it's just like, what does rest look like? What's it look like? You know? And I feel like with having one or two friends in person and fellowshipping, that would be great. Um, per, I'm not even gonna say preferably. I would say preferably those people who have children. So my son has somebody or has people to play with, but like, just to have friends on this walk, just to have like-minded people who are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, who are struggling, um, not necessarily struggling in the same way, but also just to not feel alone, not to feel like I'm struggling by myself, like I'm the only one struggling, right? It's like I can't be the only one. And like I said, I've seen the videos, I've seen the comments, you know, a lot of us feel alone because we're so scattered. There's not too many people who are truly on this walk, who are truly trying to seek Yahuwah's face, who are truly being obedient, not just to make it into the kingdom, but being obedient because you love the Father. You know, like Yahusha said, those who do the will of the Father are my mother and brother and sister. They're my family. But it's kind of hard when you don't have anyone in person who is doing the will of the Father. So that's a struggle. It really is. And for the longest, I didn't feel alone or lonely. Like I'm used to being by myself, even when I had friends. I was used to just being by myself. Like I think I thrive better by myself, but it's when I get to those times where I need to talk about things, talking through a phone is cool, but it's not the same as like being in the presence of another person. Nothing beats being in the presence of another person. So that's something I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's hard, because when you walk this walk, you literally lose all of your friends. You even lose family. You lose a lot of things, right? And what did Yahusha say? He said, those who save or keep their life, I'm paraphrasing, those who keep their life lose their life. And those who lose their life save their life, which is eternal life, right? And so it's like on this walk, you do lose your life. You lose everything that you're used to. You lose everything that you're used to doing. You lose people. You lose so many things on this walk by being set apart, right? And the thing is, it's not even that you have a confrontation with people, it's just they naturally kind of just fall off or remove themselves because they see you doing something different. They see you observing Shabbat. You're not going out on Shabbat and, hanging out and turning up and doing all those type of things, which I wasn't doing before I started observing Shabbat. That was just not in my nature. So, but even then, you're not celebrating these holidays anymore. You don't even observe them or acknowledge them anymore. And it's not like you're saying like, oh, I don't do that anymore, trying to put people down. It's just that you just live your life differently. And when you're doing things different than the norm, it can isolate you. You know what I'm saying? So I've just been wanting to have in person people, and I have been praying, y'all. I have been praying to have in person people to fellowship with, and it's hard. It is. It is really hard. Um, Even when I take my son out and we go to the park, even like during the week or whatever, he wants so bad to like, be like the other kids. Basically, he wants to be like all the other kids. He doesn't like being different, and it's kind of hard to explain to him because, like I said, he's 8. He he understands it, but at the same time, he's 8. He's a child. Like all children want to fit in. They don't want to be seen as different. They don't want other kids to point out the fact that they're different. I mean, this even goes for kids who have disabilities. Like they don't want to be seen as different. They want to be like the other kids. And I'm not trying to compare this walk with having a disability. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just to kind of give you a picture of for a child, like this is what he's dealing with. And y'all, it is hard not having other people. And I live in Houston. Okay, I live in Houston, and I know that Houston is huge, but it's like, man, and it's like sometimes I want to go back to an assembly on Shabbat just to be around other people. But at the same time, it's like that's not a good enough reason to go to an assembly just to be around other people. Because going to these assemblies, it was not a right fit for me. And I could tell it was not a right fit for me. And even just as you read the Bible more, you kind of start to see things and realize things. And the Most High will reveal things to you that it's just like, nah, I shouldn't be participating in that, right? I shouldn't be participating in an assembly or a camp or any of these other things, which I don't participate in any of them. But it's like sometimes I'm just like, man, I mean, can I just go back just to be around other like minded people? But it's like, are they truly like minded? It's just so many things running through my head. The more I have read the word, the more the Most High has revealed things to me. And it's just like, it becomes to a point where it's overwhelming with the things that have been revealed. And I'm not going to share that because I am not about causing other people to stumble. Like, you have to work out your own salvation. I cannot do that for you. Um, but just the things that he has revealed to me, it's just like, man, if I were to say these things and talk about these things with people, they would call me blasphemous. They would. They would say it's heresy. They definitely would. And I'm just like, but that's what it says in the word. Like, I'm reading these words on the page. I'm just like, this is what this says, but nobody's talking about it. And it's like, I do have someone who I could talk about these things with, but it's like sometimes I don't want to pick up the phone. Like, there are times when I would just like to, have somebody in person, just one-on-one conversation, you know, somewhere, maybe at a park, the kids are playing, turn off my phone and just have a conversation with someone. Because with these phones, like, there's people listening. We know AI is listening. We know this. Like, come on now. But it's just, even just the past week of things that have been revealed to me, I'm just like, I wish I had, like, I could really dive deep into conversation with someone about this, like, have an hours long conversation and really like talk this out with someone who also is like on the same page, right? Who, not necessarily we're in the same place in our walk, but just on the same page. Like, hey, no, I've been thinking that too. Like, I read that too, and this is the first thing that came to mind. Like, but if I were to say that to anybody else, it'd be blasphemy. I would be seen as somebody who um, is not of the faith, but it's just like my blinders are off. I'll put it to you that way. They're definitely off. And I'm definitely seeing things in the word that I have missed before. And I have read these things many, many times, read these books many, many times. And somehow these things have escaped me. And it's just, it makes it harder. The deeper I get into it, the harder it becomes, to where it's just like, there's no way that I could make in person friends and say these things to them and have these kinds of conversations and they not side eye me. Yeah. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling a lot. And I've been praying about it. I've been asking the Most High to like send me, one or two people who I can, you know, fellowship with, who we can have just in-depth conversations, who I can like be open and honest with, and they not think that I'm crazy, that I'm totally like have lost my mind. It's hard. It is. And it feels isolating. It does. And a lot of my life, I have isolated myself, even when I'm around people, or like when I did have friends, I would still kind of isolate myself. When we would go out, I'd be very quiet because the conversations that were being had, I did not want to participate in them because I didn't too much care about what was being talked about. I didn't. I'm like, why do we have to talk about this? Why can't we talk about something else? Something like meaningful, something deep, something that's not surface level. I don't like small talk. So, yeah, yeah. That was what was on my mind. I just, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I know that there are other people who feel the same way, that, you don't have anybody outside of whoever lives in your household. And again, I only have my son. I don't have like other adults to talk to. So that's my struggle. And then even with the sins that I fall into, it's kind of a struggle too, because it's like I would love to have someone else to talk to about how to work through this. You know, how do I keep from falling into this same sin over and over? And it's, man, y'all, I know this to the many times. It is hard. I am struggling, and it's like, ugh, what do I do? You know, um, I even found myself struggling to pray. And that's just being honest. I have found myself struggling to pray because sometimes I feel like I pray about the same thing, but those are the things that I'm really, really struggling with. And so it's like I do say prayers about the same thing, but it's because I'm struggling. I'm struggling with that thing over and over and over. I'm struggling with that thing, and it has not been reconciled, you know? And sometimes I feel like I'm being ignored. And sometimes I feel like, you know, maybe the Most High does hear me, but He's just like not answering me, or He has turned His face from me. And it sucks, y'all. It really does. And it makes me think about how the Israelites, you know, when Yahuwah would speak to them and they were like, we don't want to hear your voice. We'd rather hear Moses. You tell Moses what you want us to know. And Moses tell us. No, I would like to hear the Most High's voice. Even if it sounds like the thunder that woke me up at 6 o'clock this morning. I want to hear his voice. I don't care if it sounds like thunder. I want to hear his voice because I need like a direct, straight up answer. I I can tell when he's speaking to me, but it's like I need a voice, an absolute, not through a person, no, not through man, no. I want to hear the Most High's voice. I don't care if his voice makes me pass out on the ground. I want to hear his voice because I need like straight up. What is the answer? Yes, no, not yet, do this, do that. Like I need an answer. I need like a straight answer. I don't like to get answers from other people. I want an answer from the Most High. That is just me. I am just like straight up, like, don't beat around the bush, just tell me yes, no, or like not yet, or like, why are you asking me that, you know? um and that's how my conversations with the Most High be, like when I do sit down and pray, or when I journal. It's like me just being open and honest. Like literally, my heart is bleeding out as I'm saying these things, as I'm having this conversation. And sometimes the conversations do feel one sided. They do. And if you know me, you know that I can kind of talk a bit, but if I don't know you, I won't say anything. So I can be very talkative when it comes to the Most High, to where I don't really give him a chance to speak. And that's something that I am working on. But it's like a lot of times I don't have anybody to talk to. Sometimes I just want to have like a conversation, like back and forth, and not just me talking and waiting for an answer that's not going to come in the form of like if I was talking to another person. You know, the way that Moses was talking with the Most High, that's the kind of relationship that I want to have with the Most High. Like direct conversation, right? But I had to get it off my chest because I know that there are some of y'all who are out there feeling the same way. Let me know in the comments if you're struggling with the same thing, and let's figure out what do we need to do. That's all I have for y'all.